Thank you for joining us on another episode of CYC's For Couples Only. I have the privilege and the blessing to be accompanied by my wife.
And also we have with us today Father Antonios from St. Mary and St. Antonios Church in Queens, New York. Father Antonios has, aside from counseling hundreds and thousands of couples through different family matters, he also carries a master's degree in pastoral counseling. Thank you for being with us today, Abuna.
Thank you, Abuna. Now, today's topic is something that I think affects all couples in certain degrees, and that's the topic of fighting. Let's just get right into the video.
I got us something to drink.
No, thank you.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. No, thanks. I don't want to drink. That's it. Enough. I get it.
Wow, you got it?
I'm trying to talk to you and you're not even listening to me.
You really think that's what it's all about?
Yeah, what else would it be about? Why are you ignoring me?
I'm ignoring you?
Yeah, I tried talking to you.
You never want to talk about it and you ignore me as if I don't exist.
I don't think I do that.
That's even worse. You don't even know what you're doing.
John, wait. Sit. Let's talk about it.
Now you want to talk about it?
Yes, I do.
Of course, it's when you want to talk about it.
Let's just sit and talk, please.
Listen, if we sit down and talk right now, I'll be very angry and it's not going to be good. Maybe another time. Or you know what? How about just never?
No, I want to talk about it. We have to talk.
How about tomorrow after dinner?
Yes, fine. Tomorrow after dinner is perfect. I'll let you say whatever you want to say and then I'll respond in the end. Is that okay?
Fine, I like that.
And we're back. Wow, fighting, huh? Fighting handled pretty well, I would say. But let's break it down.
I found that fight to be a little bizarre because I didn't really understand what the real issue was. It seemed like she was ignoring him, and then she tried to flip it and to say that he was not talking to her. So it was kind of like an interesting dynamic, and then at the end they kind of like scheduled a time to fight later.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like there was one party that maybe took initiative, and they both agreed to come to a healthy compromise.
So I guess the question is, Abuna, what do you think of the way that they handled that sort of fight and that resolving it in that way? So, is there a better way to fight, or is fighting just like always going to be a negative situation?
I guess what we have seen is a continuation of a situation that was there before what we have seen. That's why we've seen the husband trying to bring a drink to his wife, but she seemed to be busy with something else. And he tried to be romantic, but she rejected that as well. And when he tried to distract the situation by watching TV, she felt like this is not what we should be doing. We should be talking about the situation that we have. And here it seems to us that there is something that they both needed to talk about, and through some verbal, some non-verbal ways of communication. In the beginning, it was like there's no way that we're going to do that. But then it became clear that they needed to do something about it, because when the husband got so upset and he expressed by his non-verbal way of communication. He threw the remote control and got up. She didn't want to leave it at that point, so she asked him to wait. Let us talk about it. Which I feel like this is very, very wise of her, that she wouldn't let him just leave at that point. He would be so mad, and she would continue not paying attention to him or disregarding him. That would have been very insulting. But the way she took that step, she corrected what she did in the beginning by trying to reach out for him so that he wouldn't leave the scene with a bigger problem.
Is there something that you would advise couples, or in situations where there's like high frustrations and high anger, not to do? Like, is there something that you could say, like, definitely don't do this, because this will have like long-term negative effects or have like a very negative impact?
Yeah. I think what you're saying is very important, that we get to realize that there is time, as it's written in the book of Ecclesiastes, that to everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. And then one of the things he says, there is a time to keep silence and a time to speak. So at that situation, we have seen that the wife wanted to talk about what is going on at that moment when he got up and was about to leave the scene. And he said, I cannot do that now. I'm not ready for it. And he, at a certain point, he said, maybe never. So she said, no, we have to talk about it. But she did not say, it must be now, which is very healthy way of doing it, that we need to talk when it's convenient. So choosing the convenient time is one good thing. That's why he said maybe tomorrow, and they agreed on a time where they can meet and talk about it. So you choose the right time and the right place, the right setting, where everyone is a little bit calmer and more peaceful, so that they can communicate in a truly healthy Christian way. Sometimes we call it civilized, but actually it's rooted in Christian way of communication, where we will be eager to listen to each other and to be willing to understand each other, and be willing to also try to make sure that we got the message from the other person right.
Abuna, sorry to, just because I think we all agree that they handled this fight in a civilized, healthy way. Is that right? We can all agree on that? But I think, like, just in terms of fighting in general, as a Christian, as a God-fearing couple that is helping each other, is fighting, if it comes, is that normal? Is that fine? Or should fighting not even happen?
It's inevitable. You can say that there will be no fights at all. But yet we can say that if Christ is in our midst, we'll be able to turn things that cause division into things that cause unity and mutual understanding. And that's one part of the prayers that we say during the wedding ceremony, that God would turn the things that causes division into unity, into mutual understanding. Mm-hmm. That would happen through the love of God that exists between the couple, that would be through their care for each other, their devotion to Christ and their care for each other. And remembering that this is their small church where they have to keep it and take care of it, not to destroy it. And there is a challenge for some couples that everyone wants to prove himself or herself. You don't need to do that in marriage. You don't need to fight to prove yourself, but you need to show care and love and understanding and responsibility towards each other, where there is love and respect always, the love and respect always there, so that even if someone is stressed out, the other can contain him in the sense of like through the love and the care. Because sometimes people are stressed out because of their work, any other reasons. We don't know what could happen in our life, but the other party should be tries to be understanding, where he might be stressed out because something, or she might be stressed out because of something. So if we care about each other, that's what we do. You seem so upset. You seem there is something wrong here. And if you see that there is a problem, we can work it out together. We are not at war with each other, but we don't want the devil take place or take root in us and turn this into a reason for division and breakup.
So yeah, I guess the word maybe fighting, maybe it's a little bit too aggressive, because it's just really disagreements and ways to, like I think from this couple, what we saw, they were able to resolve and mutually agree on their disagreement on a resolution towards that.
I think because we don't know the problem, so they are going to meet each other again and start.
I think it doesn't matter about the problem, because I mean, and I'm just speaking,
Yeah.
because what I like about the fact that we don't know the problem,
Yeah.
it really gives us an idea of the way they handle anything is kind of the way they handle everything. So if they're going to handle a situation, whether it's, let's say it is something extremely dramatic, in the same fashion, I mean, well, what do you think about it? Should it be consistent?
I'm thinking of the fact that they are going to meet next day. So what would they do when they meet? And what would they do before they meet?
Oh, we definitely need to have a
So
episode on that one. Post healthy fighting.
well, actually, they're still fighting, but they're doing it in a healthy way. So the healthy way was that they are going to prepare themselves for the meeting. That's what we call it, pre-meeting, that they're going to prepare themselves maybe through prayers. Everyone would prepare his or her thoughts about the problem, okay? And then they are going to meet, and when they are meeting, they need to give each other space that everyone can express his or her view of the problem, to define the problem, to express what is going on, what's upsetting him or what's upsetting her. Maybe they misunderstood each other. Maybe there is something serious that one of them neglected to see. So if they prepare themselves through prayers, by asking God for guidance and wisdom, so when they meet, they are not going to attack each other, rather than they would care about trying to do something about the problem that they are facing and work it out.
But is
And
that
solve-
is that realistic, Abuna? Like, is this whole scheduling a time amongst couples, is that realistic? Because, I mean, when you're in the heat of the moment and your tempers are going and everyone is, you know, it's like high stress, is really like stopping and being like, okay, let's just figure this out later. That's my first question. And my second question is, I always thought that they said that it's better not to like go to sleep when you're in an argument. I know that's maybe that's like not like a literal thing, but like, isn't that something that we've always been taught?
Yeah, and I think the way we saw it, I would guess that because they are going to talk about it next day, that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be at peace with each other, but because it's not the suitable time, not the suitable setting, so it's better because he was so upset, so if he talks now, he might have said something bad or wrong. So it's better to...
That he didn't even mean, probably.
Yes, exactly.
Because it's just out of the moment.
Yes, and then he will regret it later on. So it's better not to do that. But that doesn't mean we're not going to be at peace with each other. And maybe we still can pray together. We can ask God for guidance. Sometimes we neglect the presence of Christ in our midst. We neglect the power of God's word in our midst, that we read God's word and pray and seek His guidance and sleep in peace with each other. And next day would be like we are having a date, rather than it's a court day. It's not a court date, but it's a date that you and the person and his wife or the couple would go out together and as if they're having a date. So it will change the whole dynamics of the situation.
Okay, so we've addressed a whole bunch of things up till now, but I guess like when they go to meet each other the next day, what is a good sort of step-by-step, not step-by-step, but what's a good sort of formula that couples can use to address issues when they are in a fight?
Yeah, I think they need to agree on the fact that they are going to listen to each other. And everyone will get enough time to do few things. The first thing is to define the problem. Every party will speak and the other would be all ears, listening to what the other person is saying, not to be confused or busy with anything else. Just be attentive to what is being said. So you define the problem, and
because there might be, each party might have their own problem, their own set of problems that the other party doesn't know about.
I love that. We are assuming that there is a problem. So we don't want to bring all our issues into this situation, just the issue that we are going to discuss. So one of the things that is very important, that we don't bring in everything into that setting, just the problem we're having. But we cannot say, oh, you remember when we were first married, or you remember when we were engaged, or no, we don't want to do that.
If I may, I think maybe Sarah also meant like, so you got a problem that you want to talk about, maybe the spouse can take that and develop their own agenda for why they, whether that's the right thing to do or not, but their perspective of the same problem,
Okay, that's no problem.
So you're just saying don't bring up other things.
But we don't want to bring
Of
into
course,
everything,
definitely.
into the
Like, here's the list.
No,
These are all my issues.
no.
That's not a good-
We have one issue,
one issue,
to talk
right.
about. Let us concentrate on it. Define where is the problem in this issue. Okay,
Nice.
and then explain in a positive way what do you think about what is going on, and what do you think about the solutions or what we need to do. And no interruption, please. You understand my idea?
Right.
When one spouse is speaking, no interruptions. And then when this ends, let the other party start speaking about the whole exact thing. Their definition of the problem, their view of what is going on, okay, and what they feel about it, and what would be the possible solutions. And here comes, through the communication that they are trying to do, is how to learn how to compromise. Compromise is very important. So it's not my way or your way. No, it's a compromised way that we would...
Our way.
Our way, exactly. Thank you.
But Abuna, so defining very good, positive, healthy ways of communication. Just in general, but obviously when you're in an argument. But I guess even if you're doing that and you're talking about these issues, while doing that, there could be cursing, there could be screaming, there could be, I don't know, physical violence, who knows?
Oh.
But so we need to talk about how can we, like, what is okay, what's not okay. I mean, you know, the things I just said are obviously not okay.
Those aren't advised.
Those are not advised. But, you know, what is important
that.
to avoid, or what's important to keep in mind
Those things.
when you're trying to have this like healthy communication to resolve an issue.
I love that because this is very important. And I think this is why they didn't want to talk about it right away. And we admired them for that they said it's not the suitable time. So we are expecting that when they come next day for that date, they are in a better mood, they feel better, they maybe calm down, they are not as mad as they were. So all these things shouldn't find place, because if it turns into that, then we are not into a healthy way of communication or solving the problem. We are losing our tempers, we are thinking by our emotions, not even feelings, emotions. We are so angry, and that's not going to lead us to anything. And I just want to read that verse, which is, I think we are all familiar with it. St. James said that, chapter 1, verse 19, he said, "So then, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath, for the wrath of man does not produce the righteousness of God." In other words, if the couple is unable to control themselves in this setting, then what's the point? So if it's going to turn into that, better not to do that, and better to avoid it until they are able to communicate in a healthy way, when they are calmed down. That's why we praise them for delaying it to the next day. It's not acceptable, because it's not about winning the situation concerning that problem, but it's about saving the marriage. So if I think that I'm going to insist on my opinion to do that, to solve that problem my way, and my marriage will be destroyed, that's not wise. It's like you destroy everything because you want to insist on your opinion, and that's not even Christian, and that's not even rational for any person. That's why we talk about being swift to listen, slow to speak, slow to wrath, or to get angry, or to get mad, because when we lose it, we are not going to do it's not going to do us any good. So it's not healthy to do it when we are so angry and mad, and let us calm down. And that's why we talked about prayers, we talked about reading God's word, we talked about giving it time, that we can reach the point where we can be calmer and able to communicate with rationale and not with our emotions.
I think that beautifully wraps up,
Summarizes.
gives us an overview of really how to fight
And how to communicate.
how to communicate when there is a disagreement in the picture. Just one last question, because there's a lot. I think we should even get into another conversation about this, just because I feel like with communication, as you've been mentioning, we can really get into that from the same example. But if the planning ahead to have that official discussion, I totally agree with that. But I guess my question is, when you're in the moment, is there anything as a Christian spouse to keep in mind and consider on not wanting to deal with the situation then and there? Because let's say your spouse doesn't have that suggestion of let's wait. Is there any tips that you have, like, for couples out there that are, they are heated, but to remember that it's good to wait? Because I think what you're saying is excellent. There's a verse from James, the episode of James, definitely clears it up. I think if we just remember that verse, that'll do the trick.
It's very important that we understand that when we are emotionally disturbed or angry, it's not going to solve the problem. The solution does not happen when this is the case. So it's good that we remember that verse, that we should be swift to listen or to hear the other person, slow to speak, and slow to wrath or to get angry. And believe me, no one would regret to be slow to speak. They always, if you can keep your peace at that moment, you're doing much better than trying to win a discussion and lose the whole relationship. So
Well
it's
said,
very wise to remember this at that moment. But maybe in another time we can talk about the challenges to healthy communications, how to do healthy communication, all this stuff. Maybe you can discuss it in the next.
Absolutely get into another episode. Thank you again, Abuna, for these great points and for that verse. Something for us all to remember on how to fight and to deal with the fights that are inevitable, as Abuna mentioned. We will catch you on another episode of CYC for Couples Only. Thanks again. God bless you.
Yeah.